First of all, I would like to welcome you and thank you for your time that you're here. We're very excited to tell you a little bit more about ethanol-free water-based perfume and especially also about our Perfume Pearls technology. I would say we start this webinar with a short introduction about the speakers. I will start with myself. My name is Fabian Dubler. I am Head of Product and Business Development at Microcaps, and I will tell you a little bit more later on about the Perfume Pearls technology and how it helps to produce highly performant water-based perfume. Michelle.
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle and I work in marketing at Microcaps, and I'm going to talk about consumer needs and how we can meet those needs with water-based fine fragrances.
Hello everyone, I'm Jana Müller, Fragrance Design Manager at Luzi in Switzerland, which means I'm part of the creative team working close together with our perfumers and customers. And I've been working at Luzi for 6 years, of which the last 3 years in the Middle East team. I'm responsible for fine fragrance trends, niche projects, as well the fragrances for our Beauty World Middle East Fair. And I'm working in close cooperation with several niche perfume brands. I think the challenge of an FDM, like fragrance design manager, is to understand customer wishes and translate them to the perfumer and also vice versa from the perfumer to the customers.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paulo. I'm a perfumer. I work for Luzi with fragrance development. We will stay together with this wonderful webinar with Microcaps. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Paulo, Michelle, and Jana. Let's quickly continue with the companies. Also, short introduction. I'll start again with Microcaps. Microcaps is Switzerland-based specialist for encapsulation. We were founded in 2019, and we currently focus on the creation of highly performant encapsulated water-based fine fragrances. Jana, maybe you want to tell something about Luzi quickly as well?
Yeah, Luzi is existing since 1926. It's a family-owned perfume company. We're producing perfume oil, having many perfumers, like everything under one house, the perfumer, the marketing, the fragrance design team, the production. It's really an inspiring and very strongly growing perfume company in Switzerland. Maybe Paulo, you can add something.
Yeah, it's so I am here working since 2016, and I came on board this team because I see Luzi like a very innovative company, also full of creativity in a commitment with a sustainable way to operate. We have creative centers also in Paris and Malaysia, and our headquarters here in Dietlikon around Zurich, the Zurich canton.
Great. Thank you so much for this short introduction about Luzi as well. We'll start our afternoon together with a short input from Michelle about today's consumers' needs. And I will then continue and tell you a little bit more about the Perfume Pearls technology and how it could help to fulfill exactly those perfume consumers' needs. We'll then have a short insight about the best practices in fine fragrance design by Jana. And last but not least, we have with Paulo, perfumer's perspective on fragrance design, ethanol-free fragrance formulation, and of course also on our Perfume Pearls technology. Please feel free to ask questions throughout the whole webinar. You can do this while going on the top bar of your window and clicking on the icon Q&A. You can then just type in your question and hit enter to send it. We will gather all your questions and we will, of course, answer them at the very end of this webinar. So we can gather them and structure them a little bit and then answer them all in once. So I would say we start with the first topic, today's consumers' need. Michelle, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Fabian, for the introduction. So I'm going to start talking about why you should incorporate water-based fine fragrances. The Generation Z is the most consumer-driven generation of all time, but they're not only focusing on consumption, but also on values behind the products they buy. Today's consumers, in general, highly value brands that align with their needs and are willing to invest time in learning more about those brands. So let's talk about meeting the needs of consumers. Consumers especially place value on product quality, uniqueness, diversity, inclusivity, and sustainability. So let's go straight into sustainability. Generation Z is a very environmentally aware generation. You may also know Fridays for Future, which is a Gen Z school strike for climate. This generation is very demanding when it comes to responsible consumption, and they pay a lot of attention to certain brands and how they deal with climate change. Getting ethanol for conventional perfumes involves complex distillation processes, while water is very simply to obtain. So even bioethanol production takes up valuable land that could be used more efficiently for food production, for example. And it's about optimizing our land use for greater benefits and setting a statement to climate change. Now on to product quality. Consumers place high value on this aspect as well. In a world where mass production is standard, perfume pearls stand out as a sign of excellence and quality. As brands continue to prioritize that, they not only meet the demands of discerning consumers, but also elevate their entire industry to new heights of sophistication and refinement. As studies shown, consumers are almost always willing to pay more for higher quality. And Fabian will talk about this later on. So another crucial point, especially regarding consumers' values, is inclusivity and diversity. Conventional perfumes, which contain alcohol, often contribute to skin dryness and irritations, excluding people with certain skin conditions. Meanwhile, ethanol-free fine fragrances formulated with water or alternative bases minimize the risk of skin irritations, dryness, or even allergic reactions, including everyone with skin conditions. Also, ethanol-free fine fragrances, by including them, brands meet the preferences of religious consumers as well. For example, Muslims who prefer halal products and expand their consumer base. This means adding water-based fine fragrances is going to make a huge difference in brand perception by including everyone regardless of skin types or culture or religion, which is incredibly important for businesses because it represents how consumers view and feel about a brand. Now, uniqueness and self-expression is also very important for consumers. This study reveals that Generation Z highly values uniqueness and self-expression, with over 50% strongly agreeing that identity is more diverse than stereotypical. But consumers of all generations thrive on innovation and individuality, as well as self-expression. Water-based perfumes provide a unique olfactory experience in setting them apart from traditional ethanol-based fragrances. Fabian, maybe you can show the next slide. Exactly. Thank you. For consumers who prioritize authenticity and originality, water-based perfumes symbolize the difference from the mainstream and stand out as a symbol of creativity and innovation. So let's recap everything I've said. How can you meet the needs of consumers with water-based fine fragrances? Sustainability by using water instead of ethanol. Product quality by crafting highly performant water-based fine fragrances. Diversity and inclusivity by using water instead of ethanol, which makes it natural, vegan, cruelty-free, and halal. And remember, very important, brand perception, as well as uniqueness by offering an innovative and creative product. So now it's Fabian's turn to go more into the technical details. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for this very insightful presentation. Yes, next up, I will tell you a little bit more about the technology and how actually the perfume pearls can help to exactly these consumers' needs of the today's perfume consumers. So let's start with a simple picture. What you see here is an ordinary perfume pearls product. It's not that ordinary, actually. You see a very big difference if you compare it to a conventional perfume. It's full of pearls. And I'll tell you a little bit more how we achieve such a very unique and awesome looking product. So what we actually do in our process is we take your fine fragrance oil and encapsulate this fine fragrance oil into alginate beads. So we take the oil and put it in a complex patented process into alginate beads. Next, we take those beads and we mix the beads with a patented matrix that is based on water. The matrix assures that the capsules stay in place, so they do not separate from water. This would be bad for sprayability. So they stay in place and you still have only water and a specific matrix around it. And the end product that you achieve is an ethanol-free, natural, vegan and halal product. So how do you apply this product? You can actually use Perfume Pearls product like any other perfume on the market. You simply take it and you spray it, because in the moment you spray, those capsules, they get pumped through the nozzle, and while passing the nozzle, they break, and as a result, they release a fine mist of fragrance oil mixed together with water. You can apply this on skin, hair, and textiles without doing any harm to them. So how does this look? The difference is clearly visible, not only on skin, but also on hair and textiles. On the left, you see a picture of, I would say, conventional emulsion-based ethanol-free formulation. Usually, those ethanol-free formulations that are based on emulsion, they come with a milky appearance. So you spray them, they spray very well. Of course, they smell nice. However, they always leave this milky look on the skin. You don't have this with perfume pearls. As soon as you spray, the capsules, they break and the oil only mixes with water. So you don't have this milky appearance. At the same time, it's not oily and it's not sticky at all. It actually feels soothing and refreshing because of the water. Now, at the same time, you can still achieve very high loading in the product. As you can see on the picture here on this slide, you see a direct comparison between the ethanol-based one and the capsule-based one. We can go up to around 22% in the final product. So you don't only have a very nicely performing product, but also one with very high fragrance concentration. So I'll quickly sum up those benefits. Microcaps believes with all those benefits we have that this technology has the definitive potential to shake up and change the fine fragrance market for sure. Because for the first time, it's possible to develop an ethanol-free, water-based perfume product that's natural, vegan, safe for skin, hair, textiles, while at the same time, as I already mentioned, allowing a high concentration of fragrance oil. It doesn't feel sticky, is very long lasting, as actually Paolo will also tell you a little bit more later on. And furthermore, the product comes without the use of solvents and emulsifiers. It's also very important. Last but not least, you saw the picture before. The product looks very unique and makes an amazing appearance on any shelf. So it's already a bit marketing for itself. So of course, we are at Microcaps very, very enthused by this new technology, but our own enthusiasm wasn't enough for us, of course. We also did a consumer survey. And what we actually did is we took our standard sample, as I have it here, maybe it's a little bit blurred, but might see it. And we went to Switzerland's most prestigious and biggest department store called Jelmoli at the Zurich Bahnhofstrasse. And we had the opportunity to stand there in the perfume department to show the consumers our product and ask them several questions. And the first question was, hey, would you actually buy an ethanol-free capsule-based version of your favorite scent? As you can see here, the number is quite high. 95% of all the consumers replied to us that they're actually open to try out an ethanol-free perfume, like capsule-based perfume version of their favorite scent. The next question was the comparison of the visual appearance. We asked them again, compared to their favorite perfume, how they would rate the look. And here it was also very clear, 80% of the people said that they actually prefer the look of a perfume Pearls product. Most importantly was the last question actually. We asked them if they would spend more for such a product, and if yes, how much? And here we also have a very clear response from their side. 70% of all the consumers mentioned that they would spend an average of about 20% or more for the additional value such a product brings to them. So we can clearly see that such a technology hits the sweet spot of today's consumers. They are willing to pay more if they receive more. If they receive claims like natural formulation, ethanol-free, applicable to hair, skin, and textiles. That's something they value and they're very willing to pay for. Now, let's switch the perspective again. Let's say you're a perfume brand and you're thinking about launching a water-based fine fragrance based on this technology. How's the process? Is it complex? Actually, it's pretty straightforward. I've lined this up in 4 simple steps, and let's stay with this example. The first step would be that you as a fragrance brand would either take an existing fragrance oil you already have, or you would go to a fragrance house such as Luzi and would design a new fragrance oil specifically for this technology. Once you're happy with the fragrance oil, or you already have your existing one, we then take the fragrance oil to Microcaps where we encapsulate it. And we split this process in 2 simple steps. The first step is product development. We would then take fragrance oil in small quantities, encapsulate it into alginate beads, mix it with the matrix, of course, and then provide samples to you and the fragrance house so that we, fragrance house and perfume brand, can test the product based on olfactive performance, stability, how it looks, and so on and so on. Once all participants are happy with the outcome, we then go in the production step. So we take again larger quantities of the fragrance oil, we encapsulate this fragrance oil, mix it with the matrix that we develop as well, and then we send the bulk material to a filling partner. Could be our filling, could be the brand's filling. This doesn't matter. Filling, of course, doesn't only consist in the filling of the flacon, but also secondary packaging, and last but not least, the distribution. So then, of course, last step, the product gets distributed to retailers. And as a next part of the presentation, Jana will actually tell you a little bit more about the first finished product that hit the market, end 23, I think, and is actually based on a collaboration of Luzi and Microcaps.
Yes, thank you, Fabian. So I was really
Jana,
excited. Yeah.
I thought you muted, but it's fine. It wasn't me.
Oh, no,
Sorry.
I
All good.
unmuted already. Yeah, since we were able to win one of my customers, which is Cajal Perfumes, probably most of you know the brand, for the special technology of Microcaps, I was very happy and excited to be part of the development from the start. And it was and still is an exciting journey and learning experience for me as well. It's really amazing I want to tell you a little bit how we chose the fragrances, because before we did the project with Kajan, we of course tested a few fragrances for the encapsulation process to see how they are working, and also to check if different types of perfumes work, and that the performance of course is also extremely important. So we wanted to test different fragrance families to see how the performance is going to be and if the encapsulation is working with different types. So maybe we can go to the first slide. Yes. So the first fragrance I want to talk about is Costa del Sol. It's a fragrance by Paolo. Both that I'm going to show are from Paolo, created by him. And this is a citrus, floral, musky fragrance. And you can see here the top, heart, and base notes. It was actually the first one we tried to encapsulate. And you can show the next one. I want to show you the performance. So we have an expert panel internally, and we did tests for like fresh to 50 minutes, 3 hours, 6 hours, 24 hours, and 48 hours. And as you can see, the performance is exactly the same. I mean, almost exactly the same, even a little higher, but totally comparable to the alcohol-based fragrance. So the other fragrance that we tried to encapsulate was Big Cloud. I mean, we also tested, I'm going to tell you quickly now, this is now a fougere woody mossy fragrance, but we also encapsulated oriental fragrances, floriental fragrances, and I must say it was everywhere a success. But I want to show you the example of this Big Cloud. Again, here you can see the two different curves, and they are completely comparable to each other. So we have no loss of performance and power of the two fragrances. And so it was a total success with both of them. And the goal of Luzi and Microcaps collaboration was to create the water-based perfume, like Fabian already mentioned, that feels and looks amazing and at the same time performs well. And I think the water-based perfumes that we found available on the market, which are usually based on emulsion, can feel sticky, and even the scent oftentimes is a little bit altered in comparison to the alcohol-based fine fragrance. And we also felt sometimes the emulsion, like the water-based perfumes, they can look a bit cheap or also milky, like we saw in the picture before. And I'm sure probably all of you already tested them. And as we could see before, and maybe you saw it at the fair or at the In Cosmetics, the encapsulated perfume, on the other hand, looks very luxurious. It's caring for the skin, which is actually due to the biopolymers from the seaweed, from the capsule, and it's not sticky at all. It actually even creates a wonderful sensation on the skin. It's like a multi-factor matrix. It's activating the important sensory systems in our bodies. And anyway, this sensation topic is a big topic nowadays, that the sense what emotions they can or what senses they activate. And I think one sense, and it's actually the first and oldest one, I would say, is and most important one is the sense of smell. The second sense that it touches is the sense of touch and feeling on the skin. And the third sense that the encapsulated perfume touches is the optical. It's a beautiful, luxurious product. And it's Luzi's motto. We have a motto, it's called touching your senses. And in this case, we actually triple touch your senses. So we saw all the performance curves, and just as a basically, we can say that the development of the Lou Pearls Parfum d'Eau technology in collaboration with Luzi and Microcaps is certainly a big success in many ways. And I think now Paolo will share a little bit more about how it was to create different versions of the original oil for the to be fit for the encapsulation.
So thank you for the invitation one more time, Microcaps team. From my side, I think the more interesting part that I can share is my perspective like perfumer. I think to talk a little bit by my own experience after use this technique with my fragrance, with my creations, dedicate a new fragrance for these creations, and also practice a little bit of my way to create in a artistic way and also innovative in somehow, because it's a fantastic technology. I think the first point is we can act really creative. For this technique, there are no kind of barriers concerning the adaptation of accords. Normally, when the perfumers, they think about a new creation, they have a palette, very, very complex and extensive, based in a synthetic and natural raw materials. Normally, these raw materials, they have a very good stability between them. They mix very well between them, and also they are applied in different kind of bases and find fragrance in one of them. Normally, we apply this in alcohol. That's very is very stable and solubilize completely the oils, the fragrance. They are based in oil phase. But the extension for a water or a fine fragrance alcohol-free application based in water is a little bit challenge. Is needed a kind of study with ingredients, is needed a kind of selection of certain ingredients that they are more insoluble in even with the use of special ingredients to solubilize. More or less, the creativity, the part, the soul, the creative soul under the accord, under the structure of the fragrance is more or less broken. And this is a little bit disappointing from the perspective like a perfumer. So with this technique, this release a little bit, release a lot, give you a lot of freedom in the creation, the same way, the same professional artistic way that a normal briefing for alcoholic fragrance. More or less, I think this is the more positive from my side, the more positive point, because the perfumer invests a lot of time also to test the ingredients that could be used in a more stable creation. So this technique also with this certain perspective positive to adapt is also very fast. It's not needed big time studies ingredient by ingredient to check which one is more soluble or not. Well, the another point is the structure of the fragrance is preserved because it's not needed to use of excessive amount of solubilizers. Normally in fragrance development, to produce a fragrance 100% soluble in water direct in or in a base that is more than 95% or more of water, we need to use certain kind of non-alcoholic products like non-ionic surfactants or the alcohol ethoxylated or fatty alcohol ethoxylated. And this is also something that is not nice because I think up to 90% or 95% of the fragrance is just for usage of this kind of chemicals to solubilize 5, 10, maximum 15% of a blend that represent the fragrance. And under this technique, we are released the need to use this such kind of chemical solvents. Like result of this technique, another very positive point that I also can see is very consonant from with the more trendy waves and the tendency of market, because it's really artistic. You know, it's possible for every fragrance under a new creation or a line extension or a kind of new flanker to have the same DNA than the planet fragrance. It's not needed to follow for special kind of universe or olfactive families creations because of the barriers with the non-stability or not solubilization of certain ingredients. So more or less, I think this is also a very, very positive point behind this technique. So more or less, this is my contribution talking about our experience working this kind of application.
Thank you very much, Paolo, for this interesting insight from your perspective as a perfumer. This is already it from the content side. Now, of course, we are very excited to also answer your questions. As we already mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, I hope that we already gave you some great new insights in this technology and also in the world of water-based fine fragrances. We believe that this is a very, very interesting topic, and as we could see from different presentations, I think this will become a larger and larger topic in the next few years. And we at Microcaps, and of course Lucy as well, are very excited to be part of this movement and can offer such a great solution to that. So let's see what questions came in. Michelle has already put some of them together. Maybe we just start at the beginning. One of the questions was if we do personalized products with, for example, using personal perfume. As I said in my presentation, this is possible. We actually don't offer fragrances. What we do is we take existing or new fine fragrance oils from different creations, and we then encapsulate these fine fragrances. So if a brand wants to create a new product, they could go to a fragrance house such as Luzi and could then develop a new perfume oil, and Microcaps then only takes this oil and encapsulate this into alginate beads. So I hope I could answer this question here. Then another question was how many people we've interviewed at Jelmoli. I would need to look up the exact number again, but I think it was around 60 to 100. So it was actually a full day there where we interviewed a lot of different consumers. So quite some consumers. It wasn't only 10 minutes. It was actually, I was part there, so it was a very busy Saturday morning and afternoon where we had the pleasure to talk with a lot of consumers and also different consumers. So it was not only young consumers, not only old consumers, it was actually a mix from all kind of different consumers. Of course, they all have one thing in common. They like perfume. That's why they were in the perfume section of Jelmoli. Another question was about the olfactive rendering comparison against ethanol-based perfume. Maybe Paolo, could you answer this, the olfactive rendering of the Perfume Pearls product?
So more or less, sorry,
Go ahead.
Well, more or less, I think also Jana can support in few details. This is a kind of test that we run here in Luzi laboratories. We have a test group, a panelist test group here internally with experts and also with some testers to smell like consumers. So we have two segments, the experts and the ones like consumers. And our proposition was to try since the beginning to use of this technique, because we started very in the beginning, you know, I think it was like first fragrance house to apply this technique. And our proposition is to understand if the diffusion, if the performance, the long lasting, the application, everything was similar, superior or not from the same conditions of a similar fine fragrance. For example, we took the fragrance, the same fragrance under adaptation from microcaps, and the same for application of alcoholic EDT, by example. And we tried versus time with the same conditions to understand and to construct this curve more or less like the diffusion of the fragrance, the long lasting, and the feeling, all the information also about the impressions of the panelists also we registered. And what I can see is very special because it's not needed alcohol to have a kind of a very good diffusion. We can also, especially in the top notes, for the more volatile ingredient, we can really understand the accord like the original smelling. There is no the diffusion of the alcohol pushing certain notes. And this is very, very interesting. Also for the lasting, I have in my feeling, the perception of we tested the two fragrances over 2 days. And after 48 hours, I also participated in the part of the experts, and I identified that this technique, for certain reasons that we still understood, show a better performance after 24 and 48 hours. We can still smelling very well the accord. Special more time in 48 hours, I could realize the accord, the background of the accord, even some note that was more volatile, still in consonant with the accord for more time. This is my feeling. Jana, maybe you can complement some details.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I have maybe one thing to add because we once encapsulated a fragrance where we had to do a rework of the formulation to enhance a little bit the top note because, like you said, Paolo, the alcohol is really pushing the top note. And now with these two fragrances that we showed, it was no issue, but we had a situation where we compared the one-to-one oil with the alcohol one, and the top note was maybe not exactly as performing, but then the perfumer did a rework, and in the end it was really totally comparable. So, but that's then a technical issue, then there can be some adaptation by the perfumer.
Great, thank you so much for this detailed answer. There is a very similar question in connection to that. Someone asked about the different evaporation rates of the top, middle, and base notes versus ethanol base. Part of it was already answered now, I think, from your response. Maybe do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think it's what we saw in the slide that you showed. I mean, I don't know if it's later available for the people to see that top, heart, and base was really very comparable to each other. So there wasn't like a difference in the performance, and I think at the same time evaporization. So
yeah, okay. Thank you so much. Then let's have a look. A question. There was a question regarding the sizes. There is multiple sizes available. Currently, there is only one size of the capsules available. There is, of course, some developments going on, but currently it's only one standardized size available. And to the size, there was also a question regarding the quantities. What's the minimum order quantities? Here you can take a rough estimation, I would say, for about 10,000 bottles of 50 ml. In this range, you could calculate with that. Then let me quickly have a look. MOQ. There were also some questions regarding the price. I will not be able to name a price here in the webinar, since it's also based, I mean, it depends on many factors. However, we usually tell to customers or to people who visit our booth, for example, at an exhibition, that the target segment currently for this kind of technology, since it's a very new technology, is, I would say it starts at the masstige segment. So if you're looking for a solution for very mass market, very, very cheap products, usually it doesn't work with the pricing. However, as soon as you reach the masstige, prestige, or luxury segment, of course, then it works very well. That's maybe what I can tell to this topic. Quickly go through. Then there were several a bit more technical questions. Stability-wise, I think this is a bit outside of the scope of the webinar, some of them. I would say if you have very detailed and technical questions, you're very, very welcome to send me an email, or also, of course, if it's fragrance-wise, to Jano, Paolo, or Michel, and send us an email, and then we are super happy to answer those technical questions for you. Maybe also take one of our formulation team and yeah, answer this question for you. Jana, you mentioned something very good before. The webinar will be available for the, I mean, for the ones that watched it, and also for the one that forgot the webinar, didn't have time. We will then upload the webinar afterwards onto our YouTube channel, and of course send you the link so you can also have a look at it later on. See if there's some more questions coming in. See. I think most. Do you have one, Michel? Okay, just have a look quickly. Okay. Preservatives, another question, I just saw it right now, sorry. Yes, of course, we also add preservatives to the final product. Yeah, we have the possibility to add different preservatives to the product. Yeah, then there's some more technical questions. I would say also a little bit time-wise, if you have more question, then you could send us a short email, and we're very happy to answer this email for you. And also, if you're very interested and you want to have another product show, or like a product presentation, we're really happy to show you the product again in detail. So I think we can slowly come to an end. Maybe one last question, as such as here. Is it only for fine fragrances or for niche perfumes? Of course, it's also for niche perfumes, and not only for, I mean, actually niche perfumes I also consider as a fine fragrance. So it's for different kinds of perfumes. It's not only at a certain type of perfume. As already mentioned, I would say it starts in the masstige segment and then goes up until luxury perfumes and of course niche perfumes. So I would say we'll close this slowly. I thank you again for your time and for your interest and all the interesting questions. It was very, very nice to have you here on this webinar. feel free to send us an email. As I already said, we will also send you a short email in the coming days where you have the link to this webinar. And of course, you can watch it again and contact us and ask questions. Microcaps will also be at the World Perfumery Congress in end of June in Geneva. So you have also the possibility to go there and visit us at our small booth that we have there. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you a very, very great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.